And speaking of airlines, in Washington, Congress is moving to beef up aviation safety. The House this week approved legislation requiring pilots to have more hours in the cockpit before they can fly for commercial airlines. Bloomberg's Peter Cook is in Washington with more on aviation safety. Peter.
Lori, thanks very much. The House bill is a direct result of a February crash in Buffalo involving a regional airline that killed 50 people. The National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, is the lead investigator of that accident and all civil aviation accidents in the U.S. And I'm here in Washington with NTSB Chairman Deborah Hersman. First of all, thank you very much for the time. Appreciate you joining us. And let me ask you, first of all, about the House bill. Do you think it's necessary for pilots in this country to have more training before they can get in the cockpit and fly people around the country?
One of the things that the safety boards found in a number of our investigations is that there was inadequate training for pilots. The safety board has not made a recommendation about the number of hours that a pilot needs to have, but we have made some recommendations about training deficiencies. This
legislation, as I mentioned, direct result of the Buffalo crash. I know you all haven't come out with final conclusions about what caused that crash, but is there a double standard here between regional airlines, commuter airlines, and the bigger airlines? Because there are a lot of people out in the traveling public who have questions after that crash still.
Absolutely. And it's our expectation that there should be one level of safety, regardless of what the name on the airliner is that you fly. You should expect to get there safely. And it's up to the FAA to enforce those standards. We've found challenges, whether it's a major carrier or a regional carrier, that there are still safety problems that exist. And that's why we do our accident investigations, to prevent those.
You've also been investigating the crash, the U.S. air flight that landed on the Hudson with everyone basically safe on board. Also the mid-air collision with the helicopter over the Hudson as well. You haven't drawn final conclusions there, but what do you take away from those two accidents that are important, again, for the traveling public?
Well, I think certainly on the Hudson accident, it really drew our attention to yet another bird strike event. And so I think the safety board is going to be paying very close attention to that. We held a public hearing on that accident earlier this year, and we hope to come out with our findings next year. With respect to the Hudson, we've already made a number of recommendations to improve the safety of the airspace over the Hudson River. And the good news is that the FAA is moving forward with some of those right now.
Here in the Washington area, you're also investigating the Metro crash, a fatal crash from earlier this year. Again, conclusions you can draw at this point about the risk in other transit systems around the country based on what happened here in Washington?
Well, we found some areas of concern in our Metro investigation, specifically dealing with the train control system and some of the signals and circuits involved in that system. We made recommendations to the Federal Transit Administration and the Federal Railroad Administration to get the word out about what we found on Metro's system, so that if there are any other operators that have a similar system using radio frequency, and that they can look at their circuits and make sure that they don't have the same problem.
Yeah. Do you have concerns that this is something that could be repeated somewhere else?
I think the safety board was very concerned that this is an issue that needs to be dealt with and identified. It was a new issue that was identified in the Metro accident. We want to make sure no other operator deals with something like this. It's not the way that we want to learn things by investigating a fatal accident. We hope the lessons that we've learned from this accident will prevent other accidents.
Really quickly, just a couple seconds left here. Do you think cell phone use in cars should be banned? There's been a big talk about distracted driving.
Lots of concerns about distracted driving. I'll tell you, I think it's so important that I have put out a ban across my agency that no one should be talking on a cell phone or texting while they're driving.
All right. I have to leave it there, Madam Chairman. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it very much. Lori, we'll send it back to you in New York.